My audio mysteriously cut out at this point. The question I asked Appiah was, what are the similarities and differences between gender and race?
There are a lot of similarities, that is to say, that have been brought out by, I know the sex-gender distinction has been attacked, but it's a useful first cut at an important point, which is that it's what Beauvoir said: one is not born a woman in the gender sense, right? It's true that you get assigned to the category if you have clear primary sexual characteristics of a certain sort. You get assigned to the category at birth by a doctor and a family. So in that sense, it's much clearer, I think, what the biological substrate is for most assignments of gender. However, again, this is one of these cases where most people have wildly mistaken beliefs about what the underlying biology is. And the fact is that lots and lots of people don't have clear primary, don't have one of the two standard configurations, penis, testes, scrotum, no ovaries, no vagina, or vagina, clitoris, labia, no scrotum, no testes. It turns out there, in his infinite wisdom, the Creator has decided that there will be people born who don't fit these categories, and a lot of them, millions of them around the world, and furthermore, we now understand pretty well how it happens. There's a variety of ways there's a lot of ways in which it happens, but a lot of them have to do with mistranscription, genetic mistranscriptions, and a lot of them have to do with sex hormones kicking in at the wrong time in embryonic development. But it's still the case that because this, even if that weren't true, even if everybody in the world either had a penis, scrotum, and testes, or a vagina, labia, and ovaries, and a womb, what it means to be a woman would A, be different from place to place and time to time, and B, be much more important for figuring out things about oppression and injustice than worrying about what was going on in these people's bodies. So, but I think I do think there is such a thing as sex. I don't think there are just two of them, or if there are just two of them, then there are a lot of intersexes. But and I don't think the boundary between people who have a sex and people who don't have a sex is a sharp boundary. But I do think there's a sort of underlying set of substrates, biological substrates, that it seems to be perfectly, for example, reasonable that there are gynecologists. And that most of the reason for that is biological, though, if you're a gynecologist, if you're a woman psychiatrist, most of the problems you're dealing with are probably not biological. They're probably the result of sexism and patriarchy. So they're not the same, but I do think they share the following two things. One, the biological substrate is more complicated than people realize. I think so much more complicated that in the case of race, it's not much worth holding on to. And B, what really matters for social life is not what you are, but how you're treated. And that's why what Beauvoir said is true. The being a woman is not really a matter of having certain primary sexual characteristics. It's a matter of being treated in a certain way in virtue of the belief that you have those primary sexual characteristics. And so the work to be done is mostly social and not biological. The work of understanding what's going on in those cases is mostly social, not biological.